When we talk about breast cancer, our minds usually jump to things like genetics, maybe lifestyle choices. But what if some of the biggest players in this story are completely invisible? What if there's a whole hidden world of accomplices living right inside our own bodies? So let's just pause on this for a second. Really think about that question. We're about to go on a scientific investigation that is totally flipping our understanding of this disease on its head. And the answers, well, they're showing up in the last place most people would think to look. And we need to look everywhere we can, because the stakes are incredibly high. This number, 2.3 million, that's the estimated number of new breast cancer cases diagnosed across the globe in just a single year. The sheer scale of this means we have to look beyond the usual suspects to find brand new ways to fight back. So we're peeling back the layers here, looking at this vast, invisible ecosystem. We're talking about the trillions of viruses and bacteria that call our bodies home, our microbiome, and the absolutely profound role they might be playing in whether breast cancer develops or not. Okay, so our investigation starts at what you could call a microscopic crime scene. Let's look at our first set of clues and our first persons of interest, the viral suspects. These are specific viruses that just keep popping up in breast cancer tissue. All right, this is where the evidence gets really, really interesting. As you can see here, scientists are consistently finding the molecular fingerprints of what are called oncoviruses. These are viruses known to cause cancer, things like MMTV, Epstein-Barr, HPV, right inside breast tumors. But here's the puzzle. Look at those ranges. The prevalence is all over the map. One study finds MMTV in over 70% of tumors. Another finds it in less than 7%. So this inconsistency tells us it's not a simple case of virus causes cancer. The story is way more complicated. So if these viruses are involved, why is it so tough to pin the blame on them? Well, one of the leading ideas is called the hit and run theory, and this is just a brilliant way to explain the problem. Imagine the culprit starts the fire, but they are long gone by the time the firefighters show up. So here's how it would work step by step. First, you've got the hit. A virus, let's say HPV, gets inside a breast cell. Its special proteins, these oncoproteins, go to work disabling the cell's safety features. Then comes the mutation. With its defenses offline, the cell's DNA gets all messed up, it starts piling up mutations, and it's now on a one-way street to becoming a tumor. And finally, the run. The virus has done its dirty work, maybe our immune system clears it out, or maybe it just gets lost as the cancer cell divides. Either way, the cancer is now off to the races on its own, and the original trigger has vanished. But hold on, viruses are only one part of this mystery. Let's move on to our next clue, because this is where the plot really thickens. We're not just looking at individual criminals anymore. Now we're investigating the entire neighborhood, the whole microbial ecosystem. This is just fascinating stuff. We now know that healthy breast tissue isn't sterile at all. It has its own unique, diverse neighborhood of bacteria. But look at the difference inside a tumor. The diversity just plummets. Good bacteria like lactobacillus are pushed out, and other potentially more troublesome bacteria start to take over. This imbalance has a name. It's called dysbiosis, and it seems to create the perfect environment for cancer to set up shop.
Now, while that local environment in the breast is super important, the real puppet master, the command center influencing everything from far away, appears to be our gut. This idea is called the gut-breast axis, and you can think of it like a direct communication highway connecting the trillions of microbes in our gut to the health of our breasts. So how in the world do we connect these dots, right? How can bacteria living all the way down in your gut possibly affect what's happening in your breast tissue? This is where our whole investigation comes together, and it reveals this just stunning biological connection.
The key to this whole connection has a name, the estrobolome. Now, it's not a thing you can point to. It's a function. It's the grand total of all the genes in our gut bacteria that can mess with our estrogen. Basically, it's like having a little hormone-regulating factory running 24/7 right in your gut. So how does this factory actually work? Well, your liver does its job. It deactivates estrogen so your body can get rid of it. This used estrogen gets sent to the gut for disposal. But some of our gut bacteria produce this special enzyme that basically intercepts the package, unwraps it, reactivates the estrogen, and sends it right back into your bloodstream. This bacterial hijacking can literally raise your body's total level of active estrogen. And since most breast cancers feed on estrogen, you can see why this is a very, very big deal. And the trouble doesn't even stop with hormones. An unbalanced gut can launch a full-on multi-front attack. For one, it can cause systemic inflammation. A leaky gut lets bacterial bits escape into the bloodstream, creating this low-grade inflammation all over the body that cancer just loves. Second, it can mess with our immune system, basically making our own security guards less effective at finding and taking out cancer cells. And third, it can cause all sorts of metabolic mayhem, changing chemical signals in ways that can fuel tumor growth.
Okay, so we've gathered the clues, we've identified the suspects, and we've connected the dots. The big question now is, how does this help us actually crack the case of breast cancer in the real world? Well, the future is looking very, very microbial. And I want to be clear, this isn't science fiction. This is the absolute cutting edge of cancer research. As this quote pulled together from leading studies makes clear, viruses are a top suspect, and the role of the gut microbiome is now becoming undeniable. These two fields are finally coming together. So what's the payoff? This knowledge has real power. Just look at this. When you use machine learning to detect breast cancer using only the standard clinical data, the usual stuff, it's accurate about 65% of the time. Not bad. But when you add in data about a person's unique gut bacteria and what those bacteria are producing, the accuracy jumps to 80%. That is a massive, game-changing leap in our ability to diagnose this disease. And this is what that future could look like. It's a whole new arsenal. Imagine non-invasive screening tests from a simple stool sample. Imagine being able to predict someone's risk of the cancer coming back just by looking at their microbial signature. And maybe the most exciting part, we could actually boost how well treatments like immunotherapy work, simply by making sure a patient has a healthy, diverse gut. All of this research really leaves us with one profound final thought. For decades, we have been searching for answers in gleaming, sterile labs and in our complex DNA. But maybe, just maybe, the next great leap in our fight against breast cancer won't come from the outside at all, but from finally understanding and working with the incredible hidden world that already exists inside every single one of us.